Welcome to the Berks Homes podcast, the business of building homes. I'm Katie. I'm here with my brother Ben, and today we are talking about the value of our trade partner relationships. And I'm going to just start lobbing some things at you today because...
Softballs. It's Friday.
I'll do my best. You have been involved in the trade partner relationship from both sides. You would actually pretty much started out as one of our trade partners, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Before you even really worked here.
Yeah, I spent my teenage years working for a framer,
Mm-hmm.
Amish framer.
Right. So you are hardcore.
Yes.
Tell me about the week after you started, the year that you turned 16, yeah?
Yeah. In the Amish trade world, I don't even know what they call people English, which, that's just like non-Amish, they're English. That's just a phrase they use. But for these purposes, we'll say normal people. Those of us that would have a driver's license, it's a premium, add-on. Doesn't matter.
If you're working as a framer and you have a driver's license, this is like a big deal.
This is upgrade.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you're 16 and 2 weeks like I was or whatever. Back then you could get your license as soon as the permit came in the mail. So it was a couple weeks later. The next day after I got my license, I had to drive on Route 30 bypass, very busy road, rush hour, 5 Amish guys in addition to me. So 3 in the front, 3 in the back.
Extended cab pickup.
Yeah, gigantic F-350 with ladders on all that stuff. And I'm just white knuckling at 6 in the morning, going like 45, trying not to crash. Smells terrible. So you can imagine. So, yeah, that was quite the experience. I feel like I had like 3 years of life in that 35-minute drive. Right. Ironically, to the neighborhood down the street from where I live now.
Oh, yeah.
Taylor Ridge.
That's right.
That's where it was.
Oh, that's a drive, too.
Yeah. So, anyway, that was quite the experience. I think that was my first summer because, I would have started like the week before my birthday. So I was technically 15. Yeah. And then when I was 16. But I don't know why. I think it was either just a sign of respect that my employer, John, had for Dad. But I always, not always, but almost exclusively in those 6 summers, I worked on our jobs, Berks Homes.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't remember. I'd have to ask Dad if that was something that he wanted. I doubt it. I think it was just something that
he did.
That John did.
Right.
So I didn't have, maybe in 6 years, I probably helped build 6 or 7 houses elsewhere.
Wow.
Which, they worked for at least 2 other decent-sized builders. Always had crews, right? Yeah. I shouldn't say 6. Yeah, it might have been 6 weeks of total work elsewhere. So my experience almost has been exclusively, at least on the other side, working for our company. Right.
Do you feel like that gave you an appreciation walking in the door when you started here?
Right. I'll give you some of the reasons that might have been optimal on their side, and then we can talk about why it matters to us that they like working for us. Number 1, again, you're going to have different experiences with different people within an organization, no matter what. You could be running the tightest ship, but your experience will vary slightly, hopefully not that much. Right. From superintendent to superintendent. But by and large, the comments that you'll hear in terms of positive feedback is they are ready, meaning the jobs are ready when they say they're going to be ready.
Yeah. This is trade saying that about
Trade's
our
perspectives about Berks Homes generally.
Okay.
Right?
And what we want to be known for.
Yes.
Okay.
But this is what matters as an outsider. Are the jobs going to be ready? Is the experience going to be consistent when I get to the job? Meaning, if I am a framer, is the foundation going to be backfilled the same way every time? Are there obstacles in my way? Right. To do my job? Is the driveway even, stoned in appropriately? I have good access, right?
Yeah. Is the lot sign up so I know which job it is.
Yeah. I mean, these are little things, but again, subcontractors come in all shapes and sizes. Some are very small and they're run literally by the owner.
Yeah.
Others are very big, and now you're relying on 2 levels down for a guy to go find a job consistently. Might even be new, right?
Right.
So the goal is to always make it easy for every single person involved as a builder. The perspective always was the jobs are ready. The communication was good. Easy to get a hold of the superintendent, right? And I'm always going to reference framing because not only is it one of the earliest trades, but it's one of the most important things because everything follows framing in terms of if something does or doesn't work for layout.
Yeah, if one thing's off, every measurement is off.
Yeah.
In the rest of the build.
Yeah. The electrician will have a different experience if it's a good framing job or a poor framing job. Plumbers, everybody. Communication's really important, but obviously one of the big things is the plans, right? We've always put a very high premium on clear, consistent, very descriptive plans, building sets. And
not a lot open to interpretation on the fly when you're at the job site.
Yeah, right. And as we've grown, we've still really stayed true to that. So philosophy changes slightly as the years go by, what to keep on the plans, what to take off, what do you put on the selection sheet versus the plans. But by and large, we are still drawing each home specifically for that lot.
Yes.
And so we made that decision a long time ago, and we figured out how to make it very efficient to do so. We do not build off of our bid sets. We combine everything. We draw the house as it's supposed to be built. Framers benefit from that the most.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because you don't have to flip through pages that are irrelevant. You're only dealing with the pages for that job.
The house is the house.
Right. And so where it gets really good is if I've worked for this builder for a long time too. So now it could be any kind of house, but if I know how to read the plans because I've seen them a bunch of times, you can kind of throw anything at me and I'll figure it out. You know, so having that consistent plans. I mean, you can call any of our framers and they'll say most likely that we have some of the best plans, and we're proud of that.
Yeah.
It goes a long way. There's always mistakes.
There is thought put into it exactly. Like, it's not just because we want to be precious about our plans. We genuinely want to make it easy to understand and make it so that people can do a good job building them.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That there's thought to it. We want to invest our time in those individualized plans because it saves time, questions, mistakes along the way. Why not get it right up front?
Right.
And then you just fly through it.
Yeah. There's a couple important things we can back up for one minute. So I have this perspective that's unique and completely invaluable to the rest of my career working for one of our trade partners years ago, almost 30 years ago. By the way.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but backing up, I think this was all really because Dad was a subcontractor.
Yes.
Trade partner. The language we use is important. Trade partner.
Right.
Subcontractor, say it sometimes. Trade partner reflects
what's the difference to you?
The true description of how we value them. You know, so we do not build your home, Berks Homes.
Correct.
We assemble a group of people to build the home. And they are partners in this.
We partner with people to build it.
Yeah. And so how they go is how we go, right? And vice versa. We cannot succeed and they cannot succeed without each other. Symbiotic relationship. And so it's really important to remember why that is because Dad started as a framer for Berks Construction very early in the 70s. So he always had that perspective. And so
And he knew what he valued.
Yeah.
And those things that you were already mentioned were some of the things that were so important to him and became key points that stayed with us.
Right.
Since then.
Yeah. Great plans, great communication, and then consistent pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know anything could be going on in the world. And if we have additional consistent cash flow, what's the first thing we're going to try to do? We're going to try to pay a little earlier even.
Mm-hmm.
Right now the industry standard can wildly vary.
Yeah.
Right? It could be 30 to 60 days. I mean, there's big builders out there that pay 90 days,
mm-hmm.
right? To us, our gold standard is every week.
Yep.
That's what we would like to do.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time in years past that we were consistently at that level.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I think it varies from 10 to 20 days,
mm-hmm.
somewhere in there, but about 2 weeks on average. It requires millions of dollars each week if you're going to do it weekly.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just always trying to get back to that gold standard.
That's exactly right.
And because if you know as a subcontractor or trade partner, you're going to show up when they ask you to, it's going to be ready, you can do your job easily, you have good plans, good communication, and you're also going to get paid in a predictable amount of time,
mm-hmm.
then you can say all those things combined is a great environment to work in.
Mm-hmm. And
right?
it sets them up for success and to have a successful business. And those are the people that we want to work with. People who are profitable, people who can treat their team well so that then they can do good work.
Right.
I mean, it's all, again, like you said, a symbiotic relationship.
Right.
Yeah,
you can always succeed short term by being short-sighted.
Mm-hmm.
You can always try to be cheaper, try to get the cheap thing, to make the quick buck.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not investing in your trade partner's success,
mm-hmm.
Not just with the pricing, but also the experience,
mm-hmm.
they're going to burn out and they're going to leave.
Exactly.
And then you're going to do it with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So you're much better off making your trade partner successful all along the way. And that includes financially,
mm-hmm.
not just with the speed of payment, but the unitized pricing. And it's a perfect mix.
Yeah.
Right.
And they know what to expect.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And the interesting part too about the, carrying Dad's experience into as a trade partner into the business now
mm-hmm.
and the payments and everything. The one thing that always sticks out to me is what Mom said about Berks construction. In the 70s when
mm-hmm.
he was doing those, when he was a framer, she was his bookkeeper.
Right.
So she was the one that stressed about making sure the guys were paid.
Right.
That was her problem.
Yeah.
Making sure we had the money and that she got the checks out to them.
Right.
Because,
mm-hmm.
Dad was bringing in the jobs
mm-hmm.
and getting paid, but it was her job to make sure everybody else got paid on his team.
Right.
And she takes that
very
seriously.
Very seriously.
And she, every single time, would see a Berks job pop up, would be so happy because she wouldn't have to worry.
Right.
There's nothing to worry about. Everybody's going to get paid that week because the money was consistent. She knew when it was going to come in. She knew it was how much it was going to be. And payroll was done for the week when there was Berks job.
It's a great example.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's going on everywhere as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hope that they continue to say the same things about us now.
Well, and that's part of why it's important for us to be talking about it right now. This is for our employees to be able to hear again, because we say it a lot, but you can never say it too much, why we care about these things. In the same way that we talk about the customer, this is the largest purchase of their life. It's so emotional. You have to understand what they're going through as their home is being built. It's stressful, ups and downs, all of this stuff. So, treat them with care during that time. On the flip side, it's the same thing with the trade partners. This is their livelihood. It could be one person team. It could be, like you were saying, crews and crews of people. But at the same time, they're running a business and we're providing that income for them to operate.
Solely dependent sometimes.
Exactly. So what we want to pay attention to, again, are those few things that you mentioned. And it comes down to all of us making sure we put it as a top priority, that the job is ready, that we are providing consistent communication, that we're providing that really clear plan, and if it's not, someone that's available to explain it, again, that clear communication, that we're watching when the payments are going out and making sure that we're paying on time or ahead, or even bringing it up. Hey, we've got a little extra this week, looking ahead at our cash. Do we want to pay a little bit early? Having everybody aligned to be thinking that way is huge, because it impacts so many people on the other side.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people everywhere.
Well, and that's not anything that we talk about too much, is how many trade partners we have, how many people are impacted, and what that looks like. So, I mean, when you were talking about being a framer, and you only worked on Berks Homes jobs, and like, how many framers do we have now, you think?
I mean, at least 25.
And that's just one stage of the build.
Right.
And
it's a fine balance. I mean, there's some trades that can handle an entire region's work in their stage, right? Framers not usually, but everybody, it's just this giant world of all these companies that do slightly different work. Some of them, they do remodeling too for other contractors. Primarily in our world, a lot of the companies, they really do focus on new construction, but we might be their side gig.
Right.
They might have another builder that gives them 80% of the work, but they need 20%. And so you're always trying to get them 20% of their work.
Right.
Others, we give them 80% of their work. Some of them, it's 100%. And so it's a constant juggling act, but it's just like the golden rule. You want to treat others how you would want to be treated.
Yeah.
So the only thing that solves all those problems is really good communication. Doesn't mean that it's always going to be good news, right?
Right.
Because, listen, sometimes you get into a jam and you need a framer, or I'm just using framers, to bail you out. And they say, okay, well, do you have any other work? And you're like, maybe, right? And you want to be as honest and as forthright as possible, but
maybe not, but I'll remember this.
Yeah. So it's constant battle. But the worst thing you can do is have somebody, quote unquote, do you a favor and then never call them.
Never get back.
Yeah. Or what happens sometimes, they did you the favor. They're like, I'm really busy consistently, so I don't need any extra work. When they call you, when they're slow, you got to jump through hoops then and make sure that you return the favor.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, and that happens every day all over the state in all 3 offices. And I think why it's so important to talk about, if you do not make them a priority. We talk about our stakeholders all the time, and we usually list 3. We list our coworkers, employees, our trade partners, and our customers. You and I, we don't really differentiate much between the 3 groups.
Exactly.
You can't really elevate one or the other above because they're all absolutely critical.
Exactly.
In terms of priorities. So you have to balance that. And, I think that the trade partner, probably it's the hardest one to always elevate because there's not a lot of builders out there that have that perspective. So they're used to being third.
Right.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't want that because we understand their value. If we had a boycott one day, guess what happens? We wouldn't build houses.
Exactly.
So they are really important, and we don't want to take advantage of that.
Right. And it's, again, to talk about the 3, you can't have any without the other at all. Right. And you can't have a quality home that you can be proud of to hand to a customer without having quality work being done, which means you want happy trade partners working on the homes,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and you want a lot of them. Again, coming back to how many there are and everything, there's a ton that we work with, but there's also never enough.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about that before, you know, the shortage of skilled people in the market right now.
I can only imagine. We have to acknowledge that we're in a much better spot in terms of places in the world.
Yeah.
For skilled tradesmen. I mean,
our locations.
Central Pennsylvania is one of the richest places for skilled labor, and it's still hard. Exactly. I can't imagine what it's like in other areas.
Right.
You know, we have one of our regions, the State College area, you know, it's just a lot more spread out. It's harder to find people that do what we do because there's not a lot of builders up there.
Exactly.
So it's kind of hard we don't have
production trade partners.
You don't have the supply.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just pick. Sometimes you have to just work with somebody. You know, that's also a really cool part of our business is the opportunity to maybe not start businesses, but jumpstart them in a way.
Yeah.
There's been so many over the years that this painter worked for another painter. He started his own business.
Yeah.
He wanted to jump on and get a community, and lo and behold, 25 years later, still painting. You know, whatever. There's those stories everywhere.
Yeah.
If you ask most of our longest standing trade partners where they started, it was working for another guy.
Yeah.
Possibly worked for us.
That's how Dad got started.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you just fall into it sometimes. And the golden rule just always applies. I mean, it's just so easy and I say easy, it's so simple to maintain really good relationships if you're always thinking about that group. Yeah. If you think about them. I know, as you do, but I know so many of our trade partners since I was this big. Yeah. That still work for us. And the value that they have is priceless because when you have somebody that you've worked with for 30 years, you don't need to tell them anything. Exactly. There's no drama. Yeah. So here's a couple. We'll just go with some shout outs today that aren't going to be in the organization because.
But they are because they're our partners.
Yeah, but they're not employees.
Yeah.
So I always think of Ernie Martin,
yes.
our excavator. And I actually remember the first time I met him was even pre-framing. This was when I was working with Larry as a cleanup guy, you know, pushing a broom. Trash boy. I met him at Reedy Run, which is mid-90s at some point. And Ernie still looks the same. Like, that's how I picture him. Yes. So 40 years. Yeah. He is still out there. He's this excavator that he does 100 jobs by himself. I swear, I saw him multiple times at like 6 a.m. somewhere. In one community. Yeah, that I was like driving. I wanted to see something on my way to work. Cruise in there. He's dropping off a piece of equipment. He's going to grade out a yard or something. And then I work a full day, and then I go somewhere entirely different across the county. And I stop by a job on my way home, and there he is, digging a basement. Right. And I'm like, that story has been told many times by multiple people. Yeah. He's just a unique person. But I expect to see him on any job I show up at. Yeah. Honestly, if he's not there, well, where is he? Could have 150 houses under construction, and the two that you choose to visit that day, he is there. Just a remarkably efficient and trustworthy and dependable human being, and as a trade partner, invaluable. But I bring him up because the value of a trade partner is not just in their ability to get work done. It's them looking out for you, right? Great point. I've set houses with Ernie many times. Go out, the house is staked out, start talking about, how you want the driveway maybe. Maybe there's a little bit left to interpret. And he'll look at the plan, and every once in a while he'll just be like, that's not going to work. And I'm like, well, it's all figured out on the plan, Ernie. Right. And he's like, look at the measurements. It's fine. He goes, he jumps, he grabs his transit and his story pole, and he'll stand over where the hole's going to be, and it, beep, 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 beep. And he'll be like, you can't set it here. And you're like, oh, yeah. And he will not let us fail, is my point.
He would never look at it and go, okay,
yeah,
good luck with that.
You have to, if you overrule him, number one, you're making a mistake, right? He will do what you want, but he's going to tell you, like a magic 8-ball. He's going to tell you what's going to happen. And so why would you not rely on your trusted trade partner?
Yes.
His goal is not about him. He wants the job to go well, obviously, for himself. But he does not want us to fail. And that's the excavator. That's the first guy showing up.
Yeah.
Right? So he's not going to let you set the house too low. I don't care what the piece of paper says. This is how it's got to be.
Right.
And when you have that, instead of somebody showing up, not thinking, and just saying, well, this is the information they gave me. I'm just going to go off the plans.
Right.
This is about taking pride in your work and looking out for the best interest of your partner. And that's what he does. And then there's a ton of other companies all along the way that do that too.
Well, that's the part of partner where where we're going, listen, we're doing our best to make the call, but we're not there. A true partner steps in and goes, okay, this is how we make your product work in this space.
Right.
Because every single house is different. I mean, what does Pavey call it about the manufacturing line?
Oh, yeah. It's a virtual assembly line.
Right. So we're doing it virtually, but when it gets on site, it could be a completely different scenario.
Right.
You're also relying on the work done by the people ahead of you. So sometimes you have to fix things to keep the job moving. Again, they're a true partner. They're looking out. Right. They're going to not delay the job, not going to let the mess there or the incorrect thing. Sometimes they just fix it and move on.
Yeah. You're waving a magic wand all day, every day to make all this stuff happen. We're not building 500 plus custom homes every year. So point people in a different direction. Like, it's not that complicated. I mean, there's a reason we're a production builder.
There's a formula.
It's still 500 plus homes. And you cannot possibly be perfect on all of the details until the job starts, right? Then what do? You always are striving for perfection, to have very clear, good, accurate information at all times. But you're relying from the very beginning on an outside developer to get the land ready for you and give you plans that are accurate. So there's a problem right there, right? What are those odds? Then you're relying on everything else. Then you're relying on the conversations that a salesperson had and documented, and a selection person, and then the drafting team.
Their interpretation of the notes from the gallery and the sales people.
Right. So there's all these points along the way that you can get a little sideways. And then at the end of the day, who are you relying on to get it right? The trade partner and the superintendent, of course. But a really great trade partner, and we have so many of them, they'll put the stop to, they see stuff that they're like, oh, this is not how they do it. I'm just going to call.
Yes.
And trust me, I've got a library of pictures of people that didn't call, right?
Sure.
And then, like you said, that you had to fix something. We're always trying to get better. We sign up new trade partners every week, right? What do you think happens on their first job sometimes? Yeah. They don't know how we do things. And it takes the next guy who might be working for us for a long time to be like, hey, it's none of my business, but you might want to check out this. Right. And, those are the trade partners are incredibly valuable because they stop mistakes from happening all day, just like a superintendent.
I was going to say, the really great thing about catching things, we've got one superintendent for 10 to 25 jobs sometimes on a crazy week, and so they are, again, they're like Ernie in my mind. They're everywhere at once.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how they do that too.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the houses move so quickly, and you can blow through a lot of the stages in one day sometimes.
Right.
When things are happening both inside and outside.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot going on. They can't catch everything in real time.
Right.
So to have that relationship with a trade partner who is already there, they're catching it before, maybe even if it's just a day, that's huge in the timing of finishing the home.
Right.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I give the example of, you know, my longtime partnership with my two buddies, John and Greg, and we like to play around and build houses as a hobby.
As one does.
Right. And, you know, spec homes exclusively generally. And I could never do that without my trade partners.
You have your list of the people that we're talking about.
Yeah.
That you've worked with for 30 years.
Right.
There, you can put them, give them your print.
Right.
Put them anywhere and they'll just run it.
Yeah, but that's the value. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
These are so experienced. These guys are so experienced that I don't need to go to these houses barely ever. And I don't need to go there in the afternoon and make sure they cleaned up.
Right.
I don't need to, you know, this is a very fine-tuned system in which it's exclusively successful because of them.
Yes. That's a really good way to say it.
And it's successful because of them, but also because I know what they need.
Yeah.
So it's that circular reference of I need to pay them well on time. I need to give them really good information up front, and I need to give them really good plans and a good schedule.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So those things make it so it doesn't have to be a babysitting job. But if you want to be cheap and get the cheapest guy, if you want to just try and put out a, you know, subpar product, you can go that way and you will be fixing things left and right.
Yeah.
That's my shout out is Ernie, but I could also throw in Tim Mast, our longtime painter. I think 30 years he's been doing it. Talk about a machine. There's so many. There really are. I mean, and can't not talk about our suppliers as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'll give you a quick story. This is something that is so blew me away, which is, you know, I'm on the board for a nonprofit in Coatesville. We always raise money, like we do a Night of Hope event where we get sponsors. And we were trying to get additional sponsors this year. And I was like, you know, I've never asked anybody associated with the business ever for anything. And I was just like, you know, I feel really nervous about it. And I was like, so I asked him, you know, our director of purchasing, I said, you know, I know these big companies, they actually allocate out, like they want to do this. They're dying to support something that we would want supported. And man, it was like 2 hours and Leather Lumber agreed to a very generous sponsorship, Touch of Color. There's a couple more on the way.
Oh my gosh.
And
I only heard about Leather right away, but that's
like,
awesome. That's so kind.
2 other ones, but that's how they view it. Like they're not just placating me. You know what I mean? They want to.
Right.
Because it's always weird to think that our subcontractors and trade partners, they're so appreciative of the work, you know? Because I'm always like, I appreciate you.
Right. Exactly.
You know, we wouldn't be able to do it. And I guess, you know, it makes sense because if I'm on the other side, I'm like, well, I'm not doing jobs unless I have somebody to give me jobs. Yeah. You know, most of these companies are not out there advertising. Right. It's not what they do. Right. You know, they're not working for homeowners. They're working for builders and remodelers and they require you to go get the work and give you the work, you know? So
no, I'm glad that you're recognizing that and appreciating it because I know, like, for you and myself, I get it. You never want to feel like you're asking for anything special.
Very sensitive about that.
Taking advantage of the relationship, anything like that. It's a good thing to land here and be able to say thank you. And,
right, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful, but again, a lot of these thoughts, they start with, Dad's philosophy, and then, we just run with them because of the reasons that he's always taught. So another reason or, philosophy we have is like Dad's built a bunch of houses for himself, and I've done a number of projects for myself at home, large renovations and stuff. His philosophy always was, I don't want a discount.
Yeah.
I just want your normal pricing. Because guess what? I understand you have a business.
Yeah.
Right? So if you make X on every house, and then on my house you make Y, much less, what you need X.
Exactly.
You need it.
Yeah.
Right? X is going to turn into Z at some point.
It's going to go up.
If you if you let them cut their margins on your personal home, they need to make it up somewhere.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So if we say we really just want that consistent, good pricing, not the best, we want very good.
Right.
And I'm going to pay you the same terms, probably a little faster if it's personally, but that really works. Then it's like there's no pressure, guys. You know what I mean? You know what would actually make me happy is on the 100 homes that you do every year, that you just do a great job.
Yeah.
And guess what? Whatever discount you're going to give me, I'm going to make that up.
Yeah.
On the 100.
On the houses. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But just like those little things, it's just these companies you're not above them.
Right.
You're equal, and we need each other. And so I always thought that is one kind of philosophy that is really important.
It absolutely is. I'm very proud of it in a lot of ways because of, again, the impact that it has on so many people.
Yeah.
And we can't do what we do without them.
Right.
And this is our opportunity to have a positive, beneficial impact on a lot of people.
Right.
Like, why wouldn't we celebrate that? And, you win, I win.
Yeah, I love it.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, I love trade partners. Obviously, I'm passionate about it. It's a good topic. And, I hope that the people that listen, especially within the organization, that they feel that.
Yeah.
They feel that. That's not a top-down thing. That's a us thing. That's who we are.
Yep.
And we're out there trying to make them successful.
Yeah.
There's nothing better to me. I love seeing trade partner roll up to a job in a brand new vehicle because I'm like,
they're doing it.
Yeah. Instead of thinking, oh, they're charging too much, I'm thinking they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Because I'm already happy.
Why should we be the only business that does well?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because
everybody
we
should have that opportunity.
Yeah. Guess what? We're opening a new community, and I need to staff it with every single trade. And if they're not making money, they're not going to be there.
Exactly.
So anyway, someday, hopefully, we will circle back in the very near future, and we will say, we've been paying every 7 days.
Yep.
That's going to be the new standard because you get a lot. If you pay every week, there won't be...
I want to get paid every week.
Yeah, right. There will not be one trade contractor that you cannot call and say, can you do me a solid?
Exactly.
In those moments, you don't want to abuse that, but in the moments you need bailed out, there are a lot of them out there, and it's only fair that you bail them out sometimes too.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I love it. You are passionate about your trade partners.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just have so many good relationships. I mean, these are people that I talk to all the time, and I don't even run jobs anymore or anything. And they offer some of the best ideas.
Yes. Yeah.
Our
product is so much better because of them.
Yeah. Why are you doing it that way? You just do it this way.
Oh.
And they're like, I can charge you less.
Right. Again, partnership. Those are the guys that are coming to us that are saying, do better.
Right.
And I can do better for you.
Yeah. And the really good ones, and the vast majority of them are really good. They know that if they don't figure out a way to maintain their cost control, what's going to happen? They're going to pass it to us, and we're going to pass it to the customer. And when you keep throwing it on top of the cost, we sell less houses.
Exactly. Less opportunities for everybody.
The goal is to be affordable.
Mm-hmm.
So people have opportunity to buy houses.
Yep.
And they know that.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Good topic. So we went from the Eagles to the Flyers, huh?
Yeah. Oh, the Sixers. Well,
Look,
I mean, the spectrum is...
it was both.
Yeah, it was both.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is really a Sixers sweatshirt. This is in memory of the Philadelphia 76ers, the team that used to play basketball that they've given up.
In memory.
So it took me all of 1 week to get back into my Philly depression.
Mm-hmm.
And
You watched?
Yeah, I always watch. I'm sick. I'm a sicko. And this team is just a disappointment. So here we are. But
do better, guys.
Do better. Be like the Eagles. Everybody. I don't care who you are. Be like the Eagles. Mm-hmm. Best team ever.
So we gave some external shout outs this week. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The challenge is to
relax.
Okay, great one.
Just relax.
I love it.
Just have a good weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to Vegas next week.
Yep.
So we will not have a podcast next week, probably.
Well, we won't be recording one, but this is coming out.
This will be next week.
Mm-hmm.
So wear your comfortable shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready. I'm looking forward to it. I think we have a group of, 7, 8 people?
Yeah.
I think we're all looking forward to it. The winter here has been just oppressive.
Oh.
And
I thought you said winter, and I was like, no. What? The winter? Ugh.
Winter.
It has been, it reminded me why I hate the winter. Like, we haven't had one for a while where I've been going, to
Florida.
Every January, February going, why did I used to hate the winter so much. Well, I do.
Yeah.
It's back
we had
again.
3 that were super mild.
Yeah.
Didn't have snow barely.
Mm-hmm.
And this year it's ice or slush or
and
just
the wind
and cold.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Antarctica around here. And
again, trade partners, shout out to you guys being out there right now. We didn't even talk about that. God love them.
Yeah, God love them. You have no idea how many mornings I drive into work and I'm like, I put this is my favorite feature of my car is a hand warmer. And I go, I am so glad I'm not framing anymore. I mean, it is a very demanding job.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do it well, and everybody has a smile on their face.
Yes.
God love them.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, we'll get a little break next week.
Yeah.
In Vegas. And I have a 2-page schedule itinerary.
Oh, yeah?
Typed out for myself because I am not wasting a moment this year.
Yeah.
That is the one takeaway that I've gotten. Been there, 3 years, 4 years in a row. And every year I'm going, I didn't do this or wanted to do that. I'm not. I have it nailed down this year.
Okay. So are you going to share that with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we might need to divide and conquer too.
Yeah, that's true.
Certain
Some
times.
of the
Stuff that happens at the
sessions.
same time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we go for 90% of it is to learn stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And 10% of it is to walk the floor.
Yeah.
But I usually don't get out there until the last day.
Well, I have it written in now, exactly when, between what sessions. Right. So cool. We'll let you know if my plan worked or not on the next one. Because
I'll come up with a plan too. I save stuff in the app. So I have my schedule in the app. But all right. Well, have a good week.
See you, everybody.